fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. I got the man of the hour, Mr. Paul Boulanger.
I don't know if I'm the man of the hour, Corey. Hey, I gotta make an admission here. I'm suffering from a flu. I'm just getting over it. So you guys are going to hear 80% of me, which my wife says is better than 100%. So you guys are going to get as much as I can give you here. I've already put you off a couple of days, so I'm not going to put you off anymore, Corey.
I was just fixing to say we're supposed to do this Sunday, and you couldn't speak.
Yeah.
And so it's like, let's postpone it till Tuesday. And I just now got the episode up for Tyler Vassar and Margot that I did for Sunday because I kept screwing that up. So they're going to get a double dose of From 8 Arbitration today because I'm going to put this up tonight.
Well, that's okay.
But we're going to talk about Director of Education, something I'm excited about. Obviously,
both of us.
something James Henry is excited about because he's bringing it back. There is no Director of Education right now. I think Jamie Lum was the Director of Education, the last one we had, right?
2018. Yep.
Yeah, and then Renfro did away with it. But a priority to James, a priority to me, priority to you is education. I think there's nothing more important than we could offer the city letter carrier is education, educating the workroom floor, shop stewards, formal aides, DRT, advocates. We're going to talk about dogs of war and stuff like that. But I wanted to get you on because I wanted people to start hearing from us. And to me, the busiest person that's going to be at the NELC is the Director of Education.
You told me I was going to be the most hated person. Make up your mind, brother.
Well, that goes hand in hand. But Paul, I'm excited, man. You and I have talked endlessly about different things, avenues we're going to go, and just what you're going to do. And so I want to talk about that today. Now, Lions Den,
baby.
You volunteered to take that over.
I got volunteered. You're damn right. No, I'm excited about it, Corey. I really am. I'm going to change the format a little bit. I mean, I guess I could ask for your permission, but if it's going to be mine, I don't need it, right?
It's yours, brother. You do what you want to with it.
Yeah.
You can't change the intro music, though.
No, that's fine. I think you already told me that.
Yeah, a carrier put that together, and I thought that's pretty cool. A letter carrier putting that together. That's not something I went out and found, but a city letter carrier actually put that together for it. So I was like, man, that's pretty damn cool.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah. So Lions Den, you're going to take that over. It's going to be, I guess, strictly educational. You're going to have some CLC people on. Talk to me about Lions Den. What are you going to do with that? When are you going to do it? When are you going to put it up?
So I'd like to do something maybe a week from tomorrow. And what I want to do, Corey, is I want to change it up a little bit. I'd like to do I think a 30-minute episode is probably a good target. I think that's a good idea because I don't want to put people to sleep. I don't have that Southern drawl to be talking out of a manual. I can't do that. I can't throw things around and stomp around like you, brother.
I put myself to sleep.
But you know what I'd like to do is I'd like to maybe talk for 5 or 10 minutes on current events. I mean, there's stuff that's going on, new stuff that management's trying to do in the offices, maybe an arbitration that's come out, or maybe something politically in our union that's pissed me off. And, I'm not going to go Sunday Corey on them, but I would like to talk about stuff that's, maybe pissing me off a little bit that our national team is doing right now. And then I want to get into what I want to do is I want to have guests. So I'm going to tell you straight out, Corey, you invite anybody on your podcast that wants to come on. This is a concerned letter carrier adventure to me. So I'm going to be picky. I want to pick people who are going to contribute to education and the conversation.
Yeah.
So to me, that's going to be some people that are on our slate that are really intelligent. It's going to be people in the online community that I've seen. There are some names out there. There are some super, super smart people out there. I always tell people, if you look at me to have all the answers, you're looking at the wrong guy. I'm a 40-watt light bulb, but I'm going to surround myself with 100-watt light bulbs. So nobody knows. Nobody knows I'm in the middle, not as bright as everybody else. Yeah. So that's what I want to do. I want to get people on and maybe not totally Jerry Springer, maybe not getting carried off the stage, but it's okay to disagree too. I mean, I know you and we had a talk the other day about at document M01517.
Yeah,
And I want to chat with you about that later because I don't agree with your approach. It doesn't mean that either one of us are right or wrong, but
come on.
sometimes there's two ways to look at a problem, right?
Yeah. And to me, Paul, if you want to be a great advocate, you better listen to different arguments. Because if you go through it saying this is how it is, and you don't listen to anybody else, you will go up against management and they'll kick that ass
Yeah.
because you're not thinking outside the box. You have to think and take everything into consideration. And yeah, I look forward to that conversation because I'll win that. But go ahead.
Yeah, you might.
What a
I'll tell you right now, I'll help you win it, but I don't think you're going to win. So yeah, I'd like to have some people on, and there's a lot of stuff I want to cover. I mean, I've already got some ideas. I'm going to start talking fast because I'm excited about it, brother.
yeah.
Uh, I want to talk about some things that carriers on the workroom floor always deal with. You know, a lot of carriers, we talked about this. They're disappointed with their stewards or their union president for not filing grievances. Well, does that mean that they don't know what a grievance is, or does that mean that maybe the steward or the president don't know how to file the grievance? Because in my heart, I don't think that anyone that's taken on a position in a union does not want to represent the city letter carrier. I think that's in their heart if they've taken on that job. So I think it's either educating the stewards and the branch presidents, or it's educating the membership, and I think we can do both. I
Mhm,
also want to touch on stuff like talking about arbitrations. You know, having
mhm.
rank and file carriers hear about what it's like in a hearing room. I think
Yeah.
that's really neat. I've never had that experience, and a lot of people, when I bring them on to TA with me, they're like, "Wow,
Oh
I
yeah.
wish I had known about that. It's exciting."
Yeah. Here's the thing, Paul. And I said this a long time ago when I first started this podcast. I said that every steward, even if they don't have a case, even if they don't have a grievance, even if they're not, if it's not their grievance, should TA in an arbitration, even if they're not going to be an advocate, if they have no
Absolutely.
aspirations, they should sit in an arbitration because it shows you the importance of the case file. How important that is when you sit there and that case file sitting at the table. Nothing else going to be introduced. What's in that case file is what you're going to talk about. The fights that go on because maybe they didn't put something in there they're going to try to at the hearing. Maybe
Yeah.
we have forgotten something and we're going to try
Brother,
to put it in.
issue statements. Issue statements.
Yes.
I am going to do
Yeah.
an episode just on issue statements because you and I both know when you're sitting at an arbitration hearing, management's going to bring up that, hey, that issue statement doesn't apply. We're going to knock this out, knock that out. We want it changed. We want the step B issue statement. We want this.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the most important parts of a grievance. If you
Yeah.
don't know what to ask for, you're not going to get what you want.
I told you, I don't know if you heard me before, but I talked about on one of
I
my
don't listen to you.
episodes. You don't, you should start, man. You should start at the latest and go backwards. Because
All
I
right.
get real boring at the beginning and in the first 30.
Get a little
But
spicier at the end.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, but Louise Wolitz, I was in a case in New Orleans, and there's like 15 articles on this issue statement. And so labor is saying that. Labor is telling her that here's the issue statement. And she stops the hearing and she has me in front of labor. She's like, okay, Corey, she said, I want you to tell both of us why this article is relevant to this grievance. Now I'm talking about there's like 12 in this one issue statement. So 2, 4, 5, 10, 12. I'm just going down through there,
And she picks that
you
one
know.
thing.
And she said that. She said, I want you to go through the issue statement and tell me how each one of these applies to this grievance.
Ah, shit.
She made me do that.
Yeah.
And I did it. But, I've never had that happen before and I've never had that happen since. But you're exactly right. Does your issue statement, does it pertain to that grievance?
Yeah, I
Or you
had to
just,
with I had the worst experience, Corey, and I think I called you about this and asked you. I had to withdraw a case from arbitration, and it's a horrible feeling to pull a case right off the shelf and tell the steward that you're not going to put it forward. But the
mhm,
issue statement was the reason. The issue
mhm.
statement was, has management denied unilaterally all changes of schedule? But they weren't denying changes of schedule; they were denying no lunches.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I would have lost that because they had all the evidence in the world that it wasn't happening. The issue wasn't being violated. So
Yeah.
I mean, I pulled it and I said, listen, do it the right way and do it again. You win
And
the next grievance. I don't want you to have bad language on this one.
class against individual.
Oh yeah, that too.
That is a huge thing for us, class, because if you put individual, the chances of you bringing other witnesses in there are going to be slim
Right.
because they're going to say, "Hang on, what does this person have to do with this individual here? This
And,
individual here is the one that's aggrieved. It's on the 8190. Now they want to bring all these witnesses in. They have nothing to do with this individual." And
and you know what?
so,
That's important, brother.
I,
JSOV violations. Exactly. You get a Corey Walton that management screamed at, then all of a sudden, halfway down the road, you find out, hey, Paul Boulanger was yelled at too. It's too late. He's not on the list.
I had a great case, a fantastic JSOV case, and it was individual. It should have been class because I had statements, fantastic statements from all of these carriers on the workroom floor about how this manager had gotten in the case and berated them and everything. And I look, and it's individual.
Yeah.
And the one
And
individual had a statement in there about a 3996. And so if we would have put class, man, we would have been, making some hay. But
and then there we are at the arbitration room trying to change that.
yeah,
That's kind of the stuff I want to talk about, as far as uh, like issues that we can talk about, tightening up a grievance,
yeah,
remedies, just the contentions. I think there's so much territory we can cover there.
yeah. Because,
Exciting.
Paul, at the informal level, I can address this as an individual. And at Formula A, I can change it to class if I want
Yeah.
to do that.
A lot of
And
people
so
don't know that. You can
a
change
lot,
anything you want on
yeah,
that
yeah,
8190.
a
That
lot of
that little
Formula
bar at
A's,
the top, that little bar at the
yeah,
top is the informal A. Everything else is fair game after that.
yeah. So I can change an individual to class at Formula A and do whatever I want to do. So,
Oh, they'll
but
jump up
yeah,
and down and bitch about it, but that's too bad.
that's fine. As long as I give you an opportunity to address the change at formal step A, you cannot say that this is a new argument at arbitration, that this is arbitration by ambush. You already had an opportunity to fully address that change. And so, anyway, we're talking about other things.
That's all
So,
right. We're having fun.
Director of Education, you're talking about the Lions Den. When do you think you're going to put that up? What night would we be looking for that?
I would like maybe next Wednesday. That's what I'd like to shoot for.
Are you going to stay with Wednesdays?
I think I can. Yeah, I'd like to do every other
Yeah.
Wednesday, but I think I can stay with Wednesday.
Every other
Yeah.
Wednesday? Yeah, that's
As a matter of
good.
fact, you know what? I'd like to give the audience a little bit of homework because the CLC is going to be doing resolutions and amendments. We're trying to get some ideas together, and this is a great opportunity. If somebody wants to send you some emails with some ideas, maybe our next episode could be going over some of them.
Yeah.
I think we're probably going to cover maybe 7 or 8 going forward, but if we get a bunch of ideas, we can hash them out. We've already gotten some great ideas. I mean, think about 1564As. They're allowing us 3 lunch locations. You know why that is? That's from like the 50s when there were no cell phones and they had to locate us in case of an emergency.
Yeah.
That's I've got a guy who called me and said I've got 17 restaurants on one street on my route and I can only go to 3. Why? I
Mhm.
can't answer that. It's stupid. I
It's
mean, right?
to me, 30 minutes is 30 minutes.
That's it. Your lunch break should not be unreasonably denied, no matter where you go. I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
30 minutes is 30 minutes. That's stupid that I'm like you. We want to pass practice at my station for a 40-minute lunch. We can combine at my station our 30-minute lunch and our 10-minute break.
I like that.
Yeah, we won that at the DRT because in my station, it's very unique. We have it's a wide circle, but the only restaurants are in the very middle. So it takes my carriers on the outskirts of my zone about 10 minutes to drive to any restaurant. So you're stuck with 20 minutes to eat and get back. And
Yeah.
so really 10 minutes because you got 10 minutes. So I put this map, I folded up the map. It was the entire map of our zone. You know the ones they have on the wall?
Yeah, the world map.
Fold, Folded the entire map up and put it in the case file and sent that up with a bunch of statements. I got a carrier that's been there. I'm 56. This carrier's been there longer than I've been alive. And he put a statement in there. that as long as I've been at this station, we've been allowed 40 minutes. And so you're not going to beat that. You're not,
Yeah.
an arbitrator is going to look at that and say, well, 56 years is a long time. So,
That's a bit. Yeah, that's a bit. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, yeah. So directive education.
What am I going to do?
What can we look for? Because I'll tell you this, and you know this, and I know this. James Henry is huge on education. Obviously, he does it. He educates everywhere we go. People talk about being educated by James Henry. And that is a stickler to him. He wants the workroom floor, not just stewards, not just whoever. He wants the workroom floor educated. I want the workroom floor educated, or else I wouldn't be doing affirmative arbitration for 3 years now. I want the workroom floor educated. Like I always say, the workroom floor and educated work floor is a devastating thing. And so here you are, the
Here I
man
am.
tasked
Uh,
with that. What's
Here we
that going to
go.
look like? Yeah.
All right. So, I was asked this when we went to our group meeting, the CLC in San Francisco. James asked me to put together a plan for education. And I got that with me here. So if you hear some crinkling on paper, I got a paper in front of me here. I think that our education program should be broken down into three parts. I think we need to work on communication. That's the biggest thing that this union is lacking right now. And we saw it in our national agreement, obviously, but just now they are starting to open commenting on Facebook with the NALC. Why do you think that is, Corey?
Well, election's coming up, but it'll probably be taken down quickly.
You're
Because
right. I know. So for how long have we not had communication? Right
Mhm.
now, I mean, the last time our grievance starters were updated was when? Is there a grievance starter for auto pivot programs? How about
No,
stationary events?
hour office time. I don't know. Is there one for an hour
20,
office time
22-minute
or?
load time. I don't think there's one. But I
Yeah,
shouldn't say that because a lot of regions have done work on their own. And
yeah,
I mean, they've done some really nice stuff. I think Region Nine's got a grievance starter on the auto pivot program that's really good. They've got some of the
yeah,
clips from management's actual handbook. But why
yeah,
doesn't National have something?
yeah,
Why don't we have some kind of leadership model at National where if one region's doing something great, let's share it. Let's
yeah.
make it something for our union.
Oh, I agree with that. But another problem you have is, and I've said this a long time, is we have 15 different unions. We've got 15 different regions. They don't like you dabbling in their shit. They're going to have their things, and you can intercept an email every once in a while with some good training. You can say, hey, this region's doing some good training. Um, Nine is usually above, in front of it. They do really good stuff.
Yeah,
There's a couple of regions that do good things, but I agree. I've always said, whereas, people, it pisses them off. I say, where's national? Uh, where's
absolutely.
where's national at? Because uh, I want the the small station that's rural, that has two or three routes, that gets trampled.
Absolutely.
They cannot make it to a union meeting. Everywhere you and I go, Paul, people come up and say that. They say, "Hey, we've been listening. We can't make it to union meetings because we're a farm town. We're an hour away from the union hall. We work till 6. We have to get home. We work till 10, and we can't get to any training. We
No.
can't get sent to any training."
And the
And
worst thing,
so,
Corey, is that, Formula and Beyond, as good as it is
mhm.
$1,400 per carrier
Yep,
plus airfare to get to Baltimore. So you're
regional
talking
training.
$2,000. How
Yeah,
can a small branch spend $2,000 to send someone to training? They can't.
yeah,
We have to go to them.
yeah. And you'll also have them say, "I was in one region, and we were eating lunch, and it was on my way to another meeting. But I said, hey, I'll stop by and eat with y'all. It was about seven of us, very small station, and I said, all these concerns, why would y'all not bring those up to your business agent? Never seen him. Who is it?
Oh, that's bad. Yeah.
You
Well, that's a
know?
communication thing again, though, right? I mean, one of the things I want to do too is have more open lines of communication between the rank and file and the regional office. When
Yeah,
I'm out of work, Corey, my vice president will call the regional office and they'll tell her, no, the president has to call me. Who the hell pays these guys? Anybody can call them. I don't want to hear that shit.
I remember this is way back when. I was Pete Moss was still the business agent. I was the formal step A rep. And so somebody had won an arbitration, and it was a great decision. And I was like, I'm going to call that region and say, hey, can you send me that case file? Because there was something similar that I was working on. I was like, that's some good shit right there. Can you send me that case? So I called the region and I was like, hey, this is Corey Walton. I'm formal A in Nashville, Tennessee. Got a decision here. And is there any way you can send me the case file? Because I would love to plagiarize it. Uh, who's where are you from? Nashville. Why isn't Pete calling? I was like, well, why would Pete call? He don't need it. I do. And so Pete calls me about an hour later. Why are you calling other regions?
Oh, come on, they tattled.
I was like, what are you talking about? I said, I needed a case file. This chain of command. I said, that fuck that. How stupid is
No.
that? That's what I'm talking about. 15 different unions. You don't call us. You have to go through your business agent to do it. But anyway, I think we need, like you said, something at national that people can go on to and say, hey, I'm having an issue with this. I don't know who in the fuck my business agent is, but I need help immediately and have a resource for them to get educated.
100%, brother. And you mentioned that you wanted to do weekly updates when you're in
Yeah,
office. That's a fantastic idea because we're going to learn a
yeah,
lot about what's going on the workroom floor.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I'd love for it to have you, with me on that because
I'd love to.
first off, the carriers want transparency. They want transparent. They don't want it every 3 years like you got right now. Now you see this clown coming on. He's everywhere on fucking Facebook. I
Oh,
hadn't
good
seen this.
Lord.
I hadn't seen this motherfucker forever, and now I can't stop seeing him. And
But he's
so,
still saying the wrong things, brother. He's still saying the wrong things. I sent you a clip the other day, right?
don't
Where
get me started.
he's talking about bargaining and he says it's all about what you have to give up. No, it's not. What the hell? That's
Hey,
when it goes to management, when it goes to them, they can talk about what they want to argue. We're arguing ourselves out of a contract before it leaves our hands. He's unbelievable. The guy is unbelievable.
hey, he goes to a region, and we're getting off track here, but he goes to another region and he says he doesn't feel very confident because Tolino is no longer there. So he's setting us up to get fucked
Oh.
again because Tolino's not there. And I'm thinking to myself, Tolino took your ass to school on this last
Didn't
TA.
he? Right.
And you're talking about you don't feel confident because Tolino's not there? Good Lord, man.
I mean, let me
What
ask
were
you
we
a
going to
question,
get?
brother. Let me ask you a question, brother. Do you give a shit who's on the other side of the table? Are you going to fight
I don't
differently?
care. I don't care. That's like going in arbitration and saying, oh, they got the area labor rep coming in.
Oh, who the hell cares? I had
Okay.
an argument with somebody. I'm not going to tell you who, but they said, "Well, Paul, I'm not going to put you up against a labor attorney because labor attorneys, that's an attorney. What are you asking me?" I'm like, "They nobody special. NLRB attorneys? Oh my
Are
God,
we,
some of
de-
these guys are fast fry cooks taking the detail."
are we dealing with this right here, the JCAM? If we're
Yeah.
dealing with this, I'll go up against anybody. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
I don't give a damn. But anyway, yeah, he said, talking about, well, I don't feel as confident because Galino's my house like God, we're getting set up again.
Oh God. Hey,
But
one more
anyway,
thing about
yeah,
communication before we cross that bridge, Corey. A JSOV database. I
yeah,
think it's so important for us to have carriers that are able to plug in a name and find
yeah.
out somebody's history.
Amen.
Yeah, and I think
Amen.
that we as the NALC, we should have an account with Checkmate or one of these background services, and we should find out if some of these motherfuckers have a criminal history because some of them have
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
And
yeah,
we and
yeah,
we got to give that to the carriers. If somebody
yeah,
says this guy's coming to my office, I wonder if he's done something somewhere else. You're not going to have to wonder.
yeah. And that's when we went to Hattiesburg. This is a perfect example of what you're talking about because we'll get into dogs of war later with the toxic working environment, how all this is going to work. But we go to Hattiesburg, Jay, Cliff, and I, and we're going to get this manager. And they're like, this manager came from Florida. That's not our region. And a lot of B team decisions against him down there. So we have to contact them. Took 2 days to get the B team decisions to us so that we could put those in the file And they're like, he's also over here at this other place. We have to contact them. I agree with you. If we're going to, if toxic working environment is going to be priority one, which it will be to me, that's my baby. If it's going to be priority one, we need to have a database where you can, like you said, it's like DNA, it's like fingerprints.
Yeah,
You
we got
put
to
it
get
in
these
there,
guys.
and here's the name, and here's every B team decision that's ever been put up against this individual, and it's easily accessible. Print it off right there and have it.
Yeah. We had a supervisor that we sent to anger management training. I wish I could follow them around everywhere, but I don't even know
Yeah,
where this girl went. You
yeah.
know, it's
It
terrible.
just needs to with the DRT, another responsibility. But if there's a, I know that they contact Manny Peralta now. It's supposed to, any JSOV case is supposed to go through Manny Peralta, or at least he's supposed to be notified. But anytime there's a resolution on a manager that's in violation of 115.4 or JSOV, it should just automatically have a courtesy copy to this portal or whatever. And that way, those things can be stored up for however long. I don't care if it's 15 years, 20 years, because I will use it going back 30 years if I have
Yeah.
to. We've done that before. But yeah, I love that idea.
Now, the old arbitration CDs that we used to do, you and I remember these. You could do
Hmm.
keyword searches. You
Hmm.
could have searched for a supervisor's name and pulled that right up. So that's another
Yeah,
idea too. Maybe we could somehow incorporate that into our arbitration program
yeah, we
where you
will.
can do a keyword search.
Yeah,
Uh, Okay, part two, Corey.
yeah,
Outreach. Outreach. We
yes,
got to get out in the field. Like you said,
yes,
brother, these small offices, they can't spend $2,000 to get training. So we got to go to them.
yeah.
Now, every region does something different. This kills me. Are you familiar with Region Two's training program? Their steward training program.
Uh-uh.
Oh, it is fantastic, brother. I'm telling you, the more I hear about it, the more I want to move up there. They have got a 4-year program. Every year they do a week, and each state has their own the same program running in each state at a different time. So you can go to a different state if you miss one state. It's a week-long program. They rent like a conference center with cabins, and they'll put the carriers up in a cabin, and they'll for one week they'll do this conference center. They'll train, and there's 4 different levels, 1 week each year. And after 4 years, they get a certificate that they passed this. I think it's Stewart College, I think they call it. But what a
Yeah,
great idea to
yeah,
me, to me.
yes,
And then if you look at Region 14, where I am, we have 2 days a year, beginning steward, intermediate steward. And next year we got it again. So there is
yeah,
so much green space between those two, Corey. There's got to be
yeah,
something that works really well that we can put
yeah,
together.
yeah. I had talked about when I'd gone on Fed Up and was kind of talking about education stuff. Travelers is what I called them, kind of what you're talking about. Teams that we've got a new steward here, very small station. They can't afford to go to regional training. They can't afford to go to advanced formal step and beyond. Have people go to them because to me, we do an injustice. Every single city letter carrier in this country should be educated or given the opportunity. And every shop steward should have the best of training
Yeah.
because to me, the shop steward runs the floor. You got a good shop steward, you're going to have a good floor. I don't care who comes in there.
And we waste so many resources, Corey. Right now, I'm not going to tell you who this person is because they're a great, great RGA, but they're using this person in one of our regions in basically 2 offices to file all of their grievances. What a
Hmm.
wasted resource. Train a steward and have this person train other stewards.
Yeah,
We're paying a premium salary for a national officer to go file grievances.
yeah,
Teach people. We need to teach people.
yeah. A lot of our RGAs are not being used properly, though. And that's another stickler of James Henry. RAs and RGAs, they're going to get back to doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yep, 100%. I agree with you. Now, let's talk about dogs of war.
Yeah,
I love this, brother. I love this because you and I have talked about this isn't just going to be for JSOV.
yeah,
We've got to expand this so that when a management comes out with a new program, we are on top of it. And it's going to be a national plan. It's not going to be every steward for themselves.
yeah,
Again, I'm going to keep throwing Region 9 in there. They have a great program to attack route inspections. They
yeah,
send teams out there. So when some supervisor comes in an office to inspect it and he sees the same two stewards that didn't buy his bullshit last time, they're not going to try it this time.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need people to be afraid of the NALC. We can't have them going into offices looking for victims. We have to
Yeah.
be out there. We have to be proactive. Dogs of war for a whole bunch of things. I mean, when
Yeah.
they came out with this auto pivot program, we should have squashed that.
Immediately.
We could have hit that so effing hard.
Our office time.
Yeah. Right now they're doing
Stationary.
the freaking the boards with the performance. They're doing it again. They did the TV
Yeah.
monitors. Now they're doing a whiteboard. What's the
Yeah.
fucking difference?
Yeah.
Damn it, you made me swear.
We had episodes on that long ago, and no directive whatsoever from National. And National probably say, "Well, that's why we have business agents." But
But
to me, you've got a lot of money. I would invest a lot of money, and we're going to on education. And we're going to take the initiative when you talk about dogs of war. The reason I like that coming out of national, and you had people come out with podcasts saying, we already do that in our region. I
well,
know
then let's
that
share it.
because,
Let's do it
yeah,
everywhere.
I was on some of those teams. The reason I like that coming out of national is because, first off, you're not going to bully anybody at national.
Exactly.
District managers, area vice presidents, whoever, we're not going to be bullied. We're not in anybody's pocket.
Nope.
We are
Not
not
afraid of
friends
what
with,
goes on in the workroom floor there tomorrow.
no,
We'll walk in
no,
and tell you that's going to stop right now.
no. I want in this, some people may not like this, Paul. I want my shop stewards immune. Now they can go after them, but if we're going in there, they're already going after them. That's the reason we're going in there on these teams. But I had my business agent, somebody said, is there any way you can send that team up here? Because this manager is buck wild. And he's like, well, don't you think that would make you look scared? And so he wouldn't do it.
Wow,
No, it don't
man,
make me look
that's
scared.
terrible.
I want the full force of the region. Now we're going to do national in this office. I want the full force of national in this office. And so when you send in a team of 3 from national, they're immune from a postmaster, supervisor, district manager, MPU, area vice president. They answer to us and us alone. And they're going to go in there and handle fucking business. And we're going to get all of those people involved. I'm telling your story. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I love it because you're saying exactly what I'm saying. We're
Yeah.
gonna bury them. If
Yeah.
we walk in there and they're not gonna do what the steward's trying to do, we're gonna bury them.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're looking at, you and I we've talked extensively about this because the toxic working environment, like I've always said, it's my baby. To me, we have a record number of suicides right now amongst city letter carriers, a record number. The mental state of light blue is unlike anything I've seen in my 33 years. We have people that bring that home to their spouses and their kids, that toxic working environment, the dread that they have going in every single day. And I'm going to remedy that.
Yeah.
We are going to remedy that with these teams. And so that's the reason it's so important. But you're talking about route inspections, another great thing that we can send immediately to somebody that's getting a route inspection. Falsification of clock rings is another thing that I would love to have on those because that is something that we don't address properly as well. Anything like that.
Yeah. Circling back to JSOV2, Corey, I think a lot of people, we've become immune to what abuse is because we think
Mm-hmm.
a little is okay.
Yeah.
I've been on Facebook and I've seen people talk down to somebody else saying, if you can't handle that, suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah.
I've seen worse than that. How much are we supposed to take?
Yeah.
Zero. We're
Yeah.
supposed to take zero abuse from management.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't realize this, but there's the joint statement originally came up from the Royal Oaks incident, and that was precipitated by a 3996. A
Mm-hmm.
carrier was harassed over a 3996,
Yeah.
and that's what led to the joint statement. So when people say well, you can take a little bit. That's not too bad. No, no, we should want to come to work. There should be
Yeah,
none of this, take a little, you're a man, or you're a tough guy. No, no,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not paid to take abuse.
yeah. Well, when it says there will be no tolerance of, that doesn't say there will be some tolerance of. It says there will be
Exactly.
no tolerance. And when the word no is very important because it does not mean that, well, we will tolerate some of it for a period of time. No, it doesn't say that. It says
No.
there will be no tolerance of bullying, harassment, of anybody.
And we're
I
not going to be a
remember,
Brian Renfro and bargain our way out of a resolution already. We're going to fight for everything from day
yeah,
one. You're going
yeah,
to
the
stop
word
this
no,
now.
yeah, the word no means what it means. I had a 6-day count case one time, arbitration. And this is how they think about us, talking about what you're just saying. But it was a 6-day count. It was a decent case. It was not a great case. There were no statements from anybody about any harm, which normally you would want. My route is overburdened now. There's no possible way, and management's on me every day to finish it, and it's bringing me all the stress. You want something like that in the case file on 6-day counts to show that there's some form of harm, not just that my route's overburdened. There's no statements. So I read the case file and I'm out on my route. And this guy calls me from Florida and introduces himself. And he's like, hey, I'm the labor rep. Going to come up. I'm domiciled in Florida. I'm out of headquarters. And, I do. He's a very nice guy. He wasn't an asshole. Very nice guy. He's like, I kind of do 6-day counts, kind of my thing. I was like, oh, okay. I said, that's good. He said, yeah, he said, I've looked you up. You've done a few cases. I said, I've done a few. He's like, we should have a good time. I said, I can't wait. And he's like, so what exactly are you looking for? You know how you do,
Yeah.
labor, what is there any way we can resolve this basically what he's saying?
Can we get out of
I said,
this?
well, I said, you got to fix it. I said, and then, we got to have some money. And he's laughing, he's like, money. I said, yeah. He's like, there's no harm. I said, there's not. He's like, well, no. He said, you don't even have any statements on the file. I said, I don't need any. And he's like, do what? I said, I don't need any statements. Now, this is what you're talking about.
Right.
I said, do you have the case file in front of you? I didn't have it. I'm out there delivering mail. He said, yeah. I said, go to your contentions. Goes to contentions. I said, are you on your contentions? Yes. Second paragraph. I said, read that first sentence. The carriers were not overly harmed. I said, right there. He said, what are you talking about? I said, I looked up in the dictionary, overly harmed. I said, it's not in there. I said, there is the word harmed. I said, so what your position is that you can harm me as long as you don't overly harm me.
Oh, I love that argument, man. Yeah.
I said, so we're going to go to arbitration and you're going to have your witness explain to me and the arbitrator why I can be harmed as long as I'm not overly harmed, because my carriers do not come to work every single day to be harmed as long as they're not overly harmed.
100% right there.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. So they paid them some money, but that is their position. We are nothing to them. I've always said it. I've seen the links that management will go to harm my people. I've seen it. You've seen it. If you've been here for any period of time. And so that's what we're battling. We're battling a company that thinks that they can harm us every day, that they can treat us how they want to treat us. When we talk about there will be no tolerance of, they have lost that. And what you're going to do with the dogs of war is bring that back to the forefront, because we're going to address the toxic working environment in this country. And that is priority one to me.
Yes. Now, didn't you tell me you had a bunch of volunteers already?
I've got to get you those emails. Yes, there's about 200.
Oh, I love that, man. I love that. We have got some people out there ready to fight, man. I'm excited.
Hey, there was so many, so quick that I quit talking about
it. You had to shut them down.
I've talked about it for like 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, fuck. I mean, the first 2 days, I think I had 150.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm glad you said that. I got to get Mallory to do that. But
yeah. And these are people that want to fight. I love this.
Yes, yes, and there's some very high level individuals in there.
Yeah,
and I've told there was some that reached out. It's like, hey man, I'm not even a steward. Sign up. Don't care. We're going to educate you. We're going to educate you to go into these places. I remember that when we did Hattiesburg, Jason actually stayed back in the room and he just did contentions and information all day long for a week. That's all he did. Cliff Stoddard and I were in the station doing interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's a great time. It's a fun time. It's fantastic because you know what you're there for. You're not going to be bullied. You know, you're there on a mission. And I love the idea of it coming out of national because we have a fat ass checkbook and we're going to make sure that these teams are educated more than any teams ever put out in the field on anything. And that's your responsibility.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, brother, I don't have the place to say this, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to make sure you guys cut as much from your budget as you can to throw money at this because I love this idea.
You got it, man. I'm telling you now, we're no longer spending all this money on booze and women. We're spending it on
No, I'm saying
the
your
city
bodyguard,
limits.
man. I'm taking your bodyguard too, Corey.
Don't even get me started on that, bro. But all right, so dogs of war. We're going to touch every person. Uh, Zooms. Are we going to have a thing like Zooms where people can come on and there's Paul Boulanger, the director of education, whoever talking about certain topics?
I love that idea. Right. So I think the Lions Den is eventually going to be something like that as well, where we can have carriers reach out. We might have a carrier open house day where we have
Yeah,
carriers calling up saying, hey, this is going on in my office. And we can talk it out. Maybe have 2 or 3 people on the Zoom that we can answer questions to. Completely
yes.
unscripted. Just throw it at us, It's a
I
great
love
idea.
I love that social media has taken over education, and that's sad. It's good, but it's sad because, like you said, you got some high level individuals in there answering questions. Some people are so smart. I'm just like, I just keep scrolling. I'm like, I'm not even going to touch that. They're much smarter than me. That's not saying much, but I think that it should be an avenue. Every carrier, steward, Formula A, should have an avenue where they can contact us at National and say, hey, here's a question that I've got, or submit a question and say, hey, Wednesday we're going to answer your questions or whatever, but whether it's transfer issues, OWCP, whatever, and have somebody that's able to answer those questions. Because I tell you, Paul, I get 100 emails, 100 messages, phone calls every single day and I try to get to as many as I can. And I'll go to places and people say, "Hey, man, I emailed you. Did I answer it? Yeah, good." Or they'll say, "No, I know you're busy." Well, hell, I feel like a failure, because they're reaching out to me for a reason. And so I think that's a perfect idea because when you say that the work you're going to reach everybody, you have to mean that. You have to mean that we're going to be transparent in everything that we do. We're addressing the workroom floor. That's why you're here as director of education. You're talking about dogs of war to have specific things, topics that they're experts at, people that can reach out with questions to us that we can answer. Getting out on the workroom floor, making sure we have these travelers or whatever you're going to call them that go to these things. The idea about Region 2, the Stewart College is great. If people can't go, make sure we get down there to them. And so it's a good start. What else you got?
Well, I also think that, when you talk about being able to contact national, that you're absolutely right, but that doesn't leave out regions. We
Yeah,
should have open doors and open contact policies at regions. I
yeah,
originally was going to throw that under the RGA's belt, but I think they should be doing training. But we should
yeah,
have an open door policy at region. I know people at region say you can walk in the door. Well, you can't do that if they won't take your call.
yeah,
So there should be no hierarchy to who can talk to their business agent. We all pay their salary. They
yeah.
work for all of us.
They forget that.
Oh,
They
yes, they
forget
sure
that who
do.
they forget who they work with. And the thing that you're going to get frustrated with the most, and I'm telling you now, are the individuals that reach out and say, "Hey," because this is how I am. Anybody that reaches out to me, I'll say, "Have you contacted your business agent?" I never say, "Well, here's what I would do." I say, "Have you contacted your business agent with that?" Yes, and they won't call me back. Or yes, I talked to the RAA and they're a complete piece of shit to me. Told me that it didn't matter. And I was like, well, a lot of these small stations, you're not votes. If you're a big branch, you're going to get the full effect of the business agent's office. smaller branches, small stations, you're not votes. And that's just the cold hard facts. And so we have to remedy that. And so, yeah, the business agents, they're supposed to be responsible for all these things. Unfortunately, we have a lot of business agents that are just sorry as hell, just piss poor.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. And when you're talking about people not contacting, calling back and stuff, that's a pet peeve of mine, Corey, because in my region, we're a 6 state region and I'm one of the smaller states. And we feel that all the time. I'm not afraid to call out my business agent. He is all about the political states too. If
Hmm.
Boston calls him or Manchester, New Hampshire calls him, guess who's going to get the call back first? It's just the
Hmm.
way it is.
Yeah.
And
Well, my
that's going to
business
change.
agent,
That's going to change. That's the one thing that James and I talked about is the whole idea of kissing a ring to get somebody to call you back is not going to work.
yeah, I had when again, Pete Moss, who was the best business agent to me. We had Lou. Lou was very smart. If you know Lou, Lou's smart dude. You know, Pete was just a hellraiser. And then after Pete, just sorry as fuck. It's just terrible cowardice. But Pete, every other week, I was Formula A. He would come up from Meridianville, come up and go eat with me. And that meant a lot to me because Branch Four, obviously, we're a bigger branch, and me being the Formula A for that. But every other week, man, he'd drive up and we'd go out to eat. Ask me how I'm doing, what do I need, issues that we're having, if I needed any help with anything. To me, that's what a business agent should be, because he did the same thing with the very small stations. You would hear that he would, on his way back down, he would stop at these smaller stations and talk to them. He was the perfect business agent to me. And a lot of these ideas that I have are because of him, and his fight and his willingness to get in there and get dirty with it. And so that's what I want my union to be. That's as a shop steward. That's how I am. Anybody who's ever come into my station, you ask any carriers that have ever been to my station, uh, anybody that's ever come there as an official of the union understands my station, and that's how I want every station to be, is like my station, because that's how I was raised up through Pete.
Yeah, that's a great, awesome thing that you got a business agent like that. Hey, well, before we leave the whole outreach idea of education, we kind of danced around about it with what Region 2 is doing.
Mm-hmm.
What are your feelings on Formal A and Beyond and the new informal A training that they're planning on doing? My opinion, I think those should be moved to the field.
Yeah, yeah. Now the advanced formal step A and beyond, eh, I agree. I think that the region should be handling these things. Informal step A, to me, that's a way of him getting James Henry out and him being able to put his face in front of a bunch of people. National should not be doing informal step A training at national. It should be coming out of the region. Now, if he wanted to go or send people somewhere, uh, that's fine. But to me, I don't think that that's something that should be handed up there. But again, I believe that that's a way of Brian getting in front of people and saying, "Hey, look at me, how great I am."
Yeah, I think the whole Formula A and Beyond started from Region Two's actual training program. I think they took that model and expanded it to national. I really think it should have stayed with the regions. If they had been smart, what they would have done was expanded that for every region instead of taking it over. I mean, you have so many more people trained right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, all right, the third thing that I talked about with James in San Francisco was accountability. We have got to work on mentorship within regions. I am really worried, like we said, when you get posts from stewards or branch presidents that aren't willing to file grievances or don't recognize violations. I believe that every branch president should have some kind of support training. I don't know if it's a matter of that they are already expected to know everything and we're not reaching out to them. But I think every branch president should have some kind of handout, something, some way to reach us privately that we can
yeah,
train them because there shouldn't be any embarrassment or any difficulty in filing agreements. You should be able to make a phone call. Hey, listen, I'm a new branch president. One of my carriers just carried some rural parcels. Is that a violation? What do I do? There's no
yeah,
shame in that.
yeah,
Let me help you. Let Corey
yeah.
help you. Let James help you.
I still do that. I do that today. JB, I know he hates seeing my phone call, but somebody will ask me something, and I say, "Yeah, I know the answer to that. Let me call JB."
Yeah, yeah,
But no, absolutely, because especially new, there's so much to know, and it takes forever, and you still don't know everything. But no, that's perfect.
yeah. And another thing about accountability too, Corey, is there's a lot of frustration with step B decisions. That's a job I would never want to do,
Yeah,
compromise because I think I'm always 100% right.
yeah,
But when it comes to step B teams, I think we should be giving them as much training as we give advocates. The
yeah,
advocate training should continue, but step B teams also, we should keep them, if there's a problem with issue statements, we should say, hey, listen, watch out for these problems, fix it.
yeah,
Fix it before it goes to advocate Corey Walton. Make sure he
yeah,
doesn't have to deal with this. So
yeah.
I think that training should continue. Um,
Even if they're settling cases, because what you'll have is you'll have a case come up with three issue statements. Issue one is, did management violate this and that and that? And they'll say, yes, they violated that, and not touch the two and three.
yeah.
I've got an issue statement on there. I want it to be educational, and I want you to address it.
Well,
And
you
so,
just kind of segued into my argument on 01517. Want to go at it, brother?
come on with it.
Let's go. Let's
But
go.
do you agree with that though, as far as the issue
Oh, I
statements?
do. I do. 100%. Yeah.
Because if I have an eight is number one, and they're saying, yeah, management violated Article 8, blah blah blah. In number two, I have maybe a 17 and 31. You don't mention that, but that's very important to me because I'd like management's not discipline is big with that, where they'll say we're going to rescind the discipline, uh, but not address I didn't get any information, and they're going to say, well, you didn't get any information. That's the reason we rescinded it. Well, I need something for 1731 in case they do it again. That's the reason it's on my issue statement. Issue number two, did management violate 1731 when they failed to give the union its requested information? And so, I think that those things should be addressed. If it's an issue, tell me whether I'm right or wrong. Don't
Yeah.
just not address it.
I had a case that went to it was an expedited arbitration and it was a dual issue statement, Article 8 and Article 15. Well, you can't put Article 15 in front of an expedited panel.
Yeah,
So we went to this arbitration hearing and paid for the hearing date and it got rescheduled. We paid for
yeah,
nothing because it got all the way to that level with a corrupted issue statement.
yeah.
So,
And a lot of people that take discipline and somehow fuck it up and make it a contract case. You
oh
ever
my
had that
God,
happen? I
let me
had a,
tell you my story on that, Corey. Let me tell you my story on that. I had I
I've
had
got
a I
one
had
too.
a I had a new steward. Okay, he's not a steward anymore. He's retired, but he filed a grievance. This was for a carrier who had a day of annual leave, and the supervisor saw her in a supermarket and said, "I'm canceling your leave for tomorrow. You have to report to work." This was after work. She saw her in a supermarket. Said, "Your
Hmm.
leave is canceled. Show up at work tomorrow." Well, the girl didn't show up, and she got a letter of warning for failure to follow instructions. While the steward's issue statement was, did management violate Article 10, the leave policies?
Yeah,
And that's not the issue statement.
yeah,
That's for denying the leave, but that's not for the failure to follow instructions. So we
yeah,
had to withdraw the case. I mean, it stuck because the issue statement was not for the discipline; it was for the leave.
yeah. I had a last chance agreement, and if you look in Article 16, it's in Article 16, but it says that last chance agreements generally are contract because it's a contract outside of the discipline.
Sure.
It's so some arbitrators say contract case burdens on the union. On this one, it was the same thing, and it was in front of Zach Morris, and he had the position that last chance agreements are contract cases. And all the way through the case, management argued that they met just cause. Well, just cause is found in what? Article
Discipline,
16.
right?
Article 16 is discipline. So the entire way through the argue just cause. They met just cause, 10 pages if we met just cause. And so we get into the hearing, and management says this is a contract case. It's like, this is not a contract case. It is a discipline case. And if you looked at the grievance number, USPS case number, it's, you know, how they go
C or D.
G11N, 4GC, or 4GD.
Right.
It was a D.
It was
And
discipline.
so I told the arbitrator, I said, they've argued just cause all the way through this case, Mr. Arbitrator. And even on the USPS case number, it says 4GD. That's discipline. He said, well, it's a discipline case. So yeah, it's a small things like that.
It is.
And he put the burden on them, and we won it, thank God. But
Absolutely.
talk to me about why you're wrong about 1517.
Why I'm wrong. All right. I'll tell you why Corey Walton's wrong. So brother, you want to put this in an issue statement, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what I've seen. So
Okay.
you know that management always argues that it's not a valid document because it's an internal memorandum. It's a
Yeah.
policy letter. Right.
Yeah.
So what I see is that it's another argument that they're adding to the case file. What they want to do, a lot of new arbitrators, well, let's tell your listeners how arbitrators are hired. They're hired by both parties, the union and
Yeah.
management. They're also technically fired by either party. If the
Mhm.
union says, I don't want you next time around, you're not here. Same thing with
Yeah.
management. So they
Yeah.
have to portray some kind of level of fairness to both sides or they're not coming back.
Yeah.
So what the Postal Service does, and it's not stupid, is they want to add an argument. So if they can tell the arbitrator the union is arguing a policy letter is an issue statement, and it's not, but they're
Mhm.
also arguing as a violation of Article 15. So I want you to give me one of those and give the union the other. We
Mhm.
don't give a shit about 1517, really. We want the violation, the Article 15, the non-compliance. We're adding 1517 for evidence. People are probably lost right now because they don't know what we're talking about. 15
Yeah.
M01517 is the Postal Service's policy letter that they're going to comply with grievance settlements.
Yeah.
It's
Signed grievance settlements. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, but it's an internal memorandum. It's not signed by the union.
Yeah.
So my position, what I believe, and why I think you're wrong, is
Mhm.
listen to him. If you guys can
No,
see him,
no.
he's not smiling right now. He's never been told he's wrong. So,
Oh, yes.
oh yeah.
Yes, I have.
Today by Tracy.
Yeah, that's right.
So why I think you're wrong, Corey, is because if we use Article 15, non-compliance, and we
Mhm.
say we're supporting this with this document that the Postal Service has provided, stating
Mhm.
their commitment to follow Article 15, they lose their argument that it's being cited in the issue statement. It's our
Mhm.
evidence. So we're still putting in the case file, but we're taking the target off our back.
Yeah.
So that's my position. I think it's great as evidence, but I think
Mhm.
we should just take it away from them as a something that they can throw a dart at and try to take us down, because it is all about them trying to divide us and win part of a case. And how many
Yeah.
arbitrators? I mean, we got an arbitrator Cassiano, who used to be our business agent. I don't think he's
Mhm.
given us a straight win since he's come up.
Sims.
Everything is cut in half.
Sims.
Sims, same
Sims the
thing.
same way.
Same way, yeah, yeah. I'll
If
give
you,
you a win, but I'm giving you nothing for it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Sims is like that. But I've got at one time I had Wolitz, August, Roberts, and Miles on a panel, and Miles was a management arbitrator. He loved me, and Miles would get into it every hearing, and I'm talking about get into it. I mean, angrily get into it, to go at each other. But here's a case out of Lake Charles. It's arbitrator Wolitz. It's 32792, and this is one I did. And you'll have a lot of B teams that will agree that management violated 1517 via Article 19 because it's a mandate.
Yeah, most
Uh,
arbitrators give us that too.
yeah. And she agreed that management of Lake Charles installation shall cease and desist from future violations of 1517. And they'll tie that into, and you're going to adhere to the Step B teams, pre-arbitrations, and arbitration settlements because those are signed grievance settlements. So they will say, yes, it is a postal policy letter. It's policy. And can you violate policy? Yes. Can we violate policy? All the time. They will say that it's a postal policy letter. You got here's Miles, who hates us. 33426. Management, same installation at the Lake Charles installation, shall cease and desist from future violations of M1517 and adhere to step B, team decisions, pre-arbitration settlements, and arbitration settlements, because they consider that to be postal policy. Here's Arbitrator Roberts. This was
Hold on one
Kingsport.
second, brother. I got to tell your audience, I gave you about 5 minutes notice that I was going to make this argument with you, and this
Yeah,
some bitch brought a file.
I'm. That's how I do. I am ready at any time.
All right, all
I
right. I got some shit here
remember
too.
I did. I did it. And here's the thing about arbitration decisions: I can get 10, you can get 20.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
that's
Yeah.
that's just how it is. And but we use ours for persuasive value, obviously. But here's one out of Kingsport, and this is the one where management tried to vacate that, and we ended up getting 1967 out of it. M1967. Remember that federal court judge ruled in our favor that the
Right.
arbitrator had authority.
Chicoltney or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so this was 34197. And arbitrator Roberts stated that management immediately cease and desist from future violations of Article 15, Section 3A, and Postal Service Policy Letter M1517 via Article 19. And so they're saying that it's a postal policy letter. And if it's postal policy, management must abide by that policy if you can sell that. Here's Arbitrator August, the last one is 34020. The grievance is sustained. Management violated the national agreement and policy letter M1517. And so anytime you can get management to say, hey, that's not just a mandate between postal management and you, it's a policy. It's a policy that you have to abide by, that you're going to agree that, or we're going to agree that you will abide by any signed grievance settlement. To me, a signed grievance settlement can go all the way to the informal step A. That's a signed grievance settlement. So 1517 would apply to an informal step A resolution. Even though they don't set precedent, you can memorialize them, but 1517 to me would be incorporated into that because it's a signed grievance settlement. So if I can get an arbitrator to say, hey, look, that's not just a letter between yourselves, it's policy. If I can get that, that's gold. But I understand what you're
So
saying.
what? So no, but I would also argue against you, Corey, that I didn't hear you say that there was any financial remedies in any of those cases you just cited. Was there?
Well, Lake Charles was $1,000 per carrier.
Okay, because I have a feeling that's my thought is that we're going to lose something if they give us something. If they
Yeah,
give us
and
15, 17, they might say, all right, well, you know how it is. I'll give you your job
yeah,
back, but no back pay. There's
yeah,
always a
that's sense.
backside to it.
That's sense. But the Kingsport was $240,000. That's the reason they tried to vacate it, because it was such an enormous remedy. And then, the federal judge said no. Um, the arbitrator was in his authority to do that. But
Yeah. Well, I guess, to your point, it is also pretty important that you check the arbitrator's history.
yes, Bayhackle will not do it.
Right.
And so in the hearing, you won't even bring it up because she will not do a compensatory remedy, rarely ever. I don't see how she's made it this long on a panel. She despises me, and I had the winning record in front of her. She hates my guts, but she won't do it. And so when you go in front of her, you just skip that page.
Yeah, right.
We're
Or
not even
or
going to address
or
the.
or don't put that page in there, brother. That's my plan.
Yeah. Well, you won't know that she's got it. Just so you
That's
when you
that's the
get to
whole
the
idea,
yeah,
If you
when you
have it
get
in
to
there
the
as evidence and not as an issue statement, you don't have to worry
yeah,
about her.
yeah. But no, that's hey, we need to do much more of this, my man. I love this shit.
I do.
It
I
brings
mean,
back a lot.
here we are, brainstorming ideas as we're talking, which is exactly what I think we should be doing.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Paul, you feel exactly like I do about education. It's the top priority to me. There's nothing more important than education. The educated workforce, as I always say, is a devastating thing. I didn't say an educated steward, an educated formulate, an educated workforce. Anybody should be able to tune in and educate themselves. I had that carrier call me the other day, and I think I talked about this yesterday, or I can't remember, but they said that they were doing a 6-day count and they had been listening to the episodes, as boring as those are, of
Yeah.
the 6-day count. And you're going to do a 6-day count on the Lions Den, right?
Oh,
How to
we are
grieve them?
absolutely. Well, actually, we're doing a full Zoom training on it.
Okay. All right. And then the JSOV, you're going to do another one, a
That's going to be
little
the
series
following,
on that.
probably the following
Yeah.
month, right? I want to
Yeah.
get the inspection training out before the inspections
Yeah.
are over in
Because
October, so we'll work on that
it's
soon.
hot and heavy. Yeah. But this carrier reached out to me. I did talk about this on an episode, but it just happened. But it shows you the importance of education, because this carrier, they have no steward in their station. There's 4 routes. And this clown gets up that's doing the route inspection, that's over it, and he says, hey, on line 23, you're going to count your spurs. Then you can case your spurs, get back on line 23, and all the spurs that you can't case, you're going to tray them up on line 23.
That's great. Take all that time away.
Yeah, we're just going to steal all that, because that's all they know how to do is steal. And so the carrier called me and says, what do you think about that? You need to agree that today. I said, put in an information request, ask for the training records of the person doing the route inspection, because they should have some kind of formal 6-day count training. Anybody who's riding with you should have some kind of 6-day count
I
training.
agree,
We always ask,
100%. Yeah.
we always ask for all their training. And then there's a couple other things. I said, get your steward to request that today. I said, and we'll file that grievance as soon as we can. And then he said, well, I knew that was wrong. He said, because I was listening to you. He calls me back later and he said, hey, listen to this. Called my president. Now, and when I talked about this is how a president should do. He told the president said, hang on just a second. And the president calls the person that's over the route inspection for the district and said, hey, I've got a guy that you have down here doing this 6-day count on this small station, and he's telling them that when they're traying up their spurs, they can't case to be on line 23. And I give it to the person who's over the 6-day count, and they said, hang on just a second. So they call this person, and of course the person says, I never said that. And he did. He's just a liar. And so the carrier told me that. I said, well, good for you, man. I said, that's awesome. I said,
Absolutely.
I'm proud of you,
Absolutely.
President. I said, still file the grievance.
Yeah.
And
Corey,
get 4 statements.
yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, get 4 statements that he said it because the motherfucker lied. Get 4 statements, file the grievance, and had him stand up in the middle of the floor and rescind that, just like he stood up in the floor and said that. I said, so have that rescinded. And so they're
Yeah.
going to do that. But that's what you're talking about. The educated workforce. Every city letter carrier should have access to education.
I want to tell you something funny about you. You brought back a story, Corey, from 39 years ago when I started. My first day on the job, first day carrying mail, me and another guy, Mike Goodwin, were carrying this apartment complex, and the supervisor came out and saw us and told us what to do and left. And this guy was an ex-Marine drill sergeant. So we were scared shitless. And I remember after we were all done, we didn't take a break all day. And on the way back to the office, we stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts. And we were sitting at a counter talking. And I said, I wouldn't be surprised if that son of a bitch was right behind us. And I looked out the window, and there he was. That son of a bitch was parked outside watching us at Dunkin' Donuts. But to my point, Corey, when we started, we didn't know any better, so we're looking over our shoulders. Once you
Yeah.
learn the contract, you're not looking over your shoulder anymore.
Yeah,
They
don't
can
have to
watch
worry
you
about
all
it.
they want.
Or they can come in and they can say anything, and you're like, motherfucker, that's a grievance. So many of these stations, when you look on social media, you see so many of these people get on social media and say, hey man, my manager just came out and told us that we only have 22 minutes to load. Is that right? That should never happen. When that memo came out, we should have educated the entire workroom floor. First off, don't ever put times on memos. But that is not a standard. That's a parameter. Has nothing to do with us. Don't worry about it. But because we got a clown as a president who did that, but how many times have you seen on social media them saying something like, man, they told us that we only have 45 minutes of office time. It was an hour. We only have 45 minutes of office time. Is anybody hearing that?
It wasn't an
That
hour.
happens. That happens, Paul, because we don't educate the workroom floor. They're having to go on social media and get help that
Well,
should, it's a good thing. I'm
oh
glad that
yeah.
it's out there, but
But look at the new contract, Corey, where they put this change in fixed office time. Now,
mhm.
granted, it's only for an adjustment process in the future, but what do you think's going to happen? We now have reduced office functions on paper. You don't think they're
Yeah,
going to start holding carriers to that? Of course they are.
they've already started doing it.
Yeah.
They've already started doing it. I've already had people reach out to me and said, "Hey, they're telling us that we only have 20 minutes of fixed office time." Bullshit.
So how can you be so naive as a a national president to put something on paper that they just used something against you in theory and you're going to do it again?
But because he's not one of us,
I mean,
and that's the thing. He's lost touch with us. Just like Barner, and I'm gonna get on him a little bit. But they were talking about Barner was in this training. He was in this class, and they said it was leadership. I think it was leadership academy. And Barner comes in there, and they said just about the entire time he was talking about all these properties that he owns. And I'm thinking to myself, how out of touch do you have to be to go into a setting with carriers who just got shit on, who can barely afford a living wage to get groceries because of what you've done to us? And all you're going to talk about is how many properties you own to us,
that's terrible. You
who,
know?
who we're over here eating our bowl of soup because that's what you got us. And you're talking about all the properties that you own. And this motherfucker's going to run for president. They're out of touch, both of them. They don't have a fucking clue who we are on the workroom floor, period. And you got Renfro. Here, this motherfucker, I see his face everywhere now, talking about the contract. You don't need to be educating nobody on the contract with the shit you got done to us this last time. You're the last one who should be on anything talking about here's what we do in collective bargaining.
Did
I
did
don't
did you
want to take an example
did you
from you.
Corey, did you see how he was teaching? You and I were talking about this, how he was teaching the rank and file bargaining committee. He
Yeah.
had them together and he said, "We all know what carriers want, but we have to make our priorities. We have to understand what we can and can't get." What? What is he talking about? What the
I
hell is
don't
he
want
talking about, Corey?
I
He's
don't want him
already
doing
talking
it.
about making a deal before you get to the bargaining table.
I don't want him doing anything for me anymore.
Oh
I
my God!
swear.
People say we should give him a second chance. Well, he's not. He's not going to second chance at what? You know?
Fuck that. This mother, it's not just the TA.
No.
It's who he is. He has no idea who we are when you talk about uh, pound of flesh, when you talk about an inconvenience, when you talk about discrepancies. He does not know who we are on this workroom floor, and he never will because he was not one of us. He rode coattails his entire career, and now he's in the biggest position. And people say, you're beating a dead horse. Bullshit. He's
Yeah.
an incumbent. Until he's ousted, I'm gonna keep talking about the lying son of a bitch. And Paul sitting there talking about all the properties he owns. You're talking to people, man, who y'all have forced to stay in the fucking soup line, and you're talking about all the properties you fucking own. Now he wants to be president. Holy fuck.
I know we're in some deep shit, man. I hope people out there make the right decisions and don't see this whole new "I'm a gentler, kinder" Brian Renfro thing as genuine because it's all bullshit.
Oh, he's forced to do that. Trust me. That is not his thing.
No, he's got handlers.
Oh, yes.
You
Yeah,
know
they're
what his
saying, hey,
handlers. You know what his handlers told him, Corey. You got to change what you're doing 100%.
yeah. What you're doing ain't working. But it's not who he is. And so, he's going to do what he's got to do to try to win. But like somebody said today, I was reading the comments. Could I get a kick out of reading the comments on those NLC things? He said, zebra can't change the stripes. And that's exactly right. You are who you are. If you're a narcissist, that's who you are. You cannot change, even if you want to. And so James Henry's going to win. It's his vision and his plan that I love. And you're part of it. When he said, I'm bringing back the directive education, I'm thinking, hell yeah, because that is priority one. And the things that you have laid out to educate the workroom floor, to educate the shop steward, the Formula A, like you said, the DRT, the DR, we got great people at the DRT. I think they've been given some bad guidance from Barner. Our job is not to save the Postal Service. Our
No.
job is to save the city letter carrier.
But now that
And
you're
at
talking
every
about Barner, Corey, we should talk about cease and desist before we close this damn thing out.
come
How
on,
how how much harm did he cause us by by
devastated us.
by trying to bargain away cease and desist? That's the one thing as director of education that I want to focus on. We are not going to back down from cease and desist.
Yeah.
We're going to until the last person is standing, we're going to file for cease and desist. I don't care.
Every grievance, every grievance has a foundation. When you're talking about noncompliance, if you're talking about any contractual violation, if you want to build that foundation to make management stop, uh, an escalated monetary reward is up here. It's towards the top. Like arbitrator Roberts said, told labor in that hearing we had, we were finishing the hearing. He said, there is a number. There is a number that will get you to stop. We just hadn't got it yet. And that's what he told labor. There is a number. There's a figure. We just ain't got there yet, but we will. But the foundation of that is the cease and desist. It's contractual. It's in Article 41. If it was not contractual, I would understand that. But in any violation of any contract, anywhere in the world, it's a cease and desist.
Absolutely.
And so we have got to get that. Management has buffaloed us saying, we're not doing it, and we will send everything forward. Okay. I'm not going to be scared of anything.
No.
You're not going to hold anything over my head. You're just not. We run the grievance procedure. It is ours. It's my grievance. I filed the motherfucker. I'll take it up to Formal A, whether you want to meet with me or not. People say, well, they didn't meet. Fuck them. Send it up to Formal A. They didn't meet at Formal A. Fuck those motherfuckers too. Send it up to the DRT. And we are not remanding those back to give them another bite at that apple.
No, we cannot do that.
Fucking lazy to get in there and meet with my Formal A's because they're scared of us at that level. And so those will be going to hearing without their contentions. The DRT can make all the contentions they want to, and I'll put 8 million sites down there talking about how the arbitrator can't take that in consideration.
Right.
You're going to get this backlog. We've got to get that dealt with. We're going to get these backup teams activated. If we have to go to national arbitration to do that, we will. There's no excuse for having 35,000 cases backlog at B. Some 12 to 13,000 in New Orleans. I had somebody from Alabama call and said, hell, those are piling up in Alabama. Why? What are we doing? Now this clown wants to start coming out on social media talking about, you remember when we had the round table up there in Boston?
Yeah, of course.
We talked about that at length. The very next day, this motherfucker comes out and talks about how they're going to resolve these cases, the backlog.
What a coincidence. You think someone's watching us, Corey?
Where in the fuck have you been? Dude, hey, Paul, we've got people that have been waiting on decisions for a year. A year. Agreement. What do they talk about? Justice delayed is justice denied.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What happened to us, man, as a union to let management hijack the grievance procedure? Where have we fallen?
And every time that happens, Corey, they win. They win.
Oh, absolutely.
If they've got a letter of warning hanging over a carrier's head for a year, we're not winning anything out of that.
No. If they worked you, if they're forcing you on your non-scheduled day and you're not on the list, and they had 48 hours of available overtime on the ODL, and they continue to do that to you, and 9-10 months later, they're still doing it because there's been nothing sent back telling them to stop. There's been no payment to you because they've done it. That's justice delayed is justice denied. Those things need to be heard. And you're going to have these C teams. I know what's fixing to happen. We're way off topic now, but you have
no,
these
but
C teams.
I know where you're going with the C teams, man.
You watch these cases in New Orleans, just like they fucked them over last time. And you got these clowns coming out here saying, we didn't do that. Bullshit. You fucked those carriers down in there in New Orleans by putting those C teams out there and giving them a fraction of what they're due. Yeah. It's because cases are money. They're money to the Postal Service and they're money to the union. and the carrier is the one who is fucked. We are the aggrieved. We go to our agent to file a grievance, and immediately there's a price tag put on that grievance, a price tag of arbitration. Are we going to spend money to take a $50 case? Or are we going to spend $5,000 or $4,000 taking a $50 case forward? That's the problem. Until we, as a union, say the city letter carrier is first and there is no second, I say that all the time. The city letter carrier is first and there is no second. Until we get that mindset, you will continue to have this bullshit because the Postal Service wins, like you said. You got 35,000 cases sitting up there. Do you think the Postal Service gives a shit about that?
No, they want make it 45,000, make it 100,000. They don't give a
Fuck
shit.
yeah. I don't give a damn if you had 1,000,000. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not paying anything. We'll give these C teams in there and these cases that you got that you're due $250 because they failed to meet. We'll give you 50. And we'll get you 20 cases. The 20 cases you got pending, the 250 you should have for each case. We'll give you 50 for each case. And so the shop steward gets a little settlement for about $5,000. They're like, damn, that's a lot of money. Well, you should have got 17,000.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's the problem.
exactly. Right.
Yeah. And so,
It's
but we'll get that fixed.
yeah.
That's going to be fixed.
I wonder how many of those cases, Corey, are just repetitive failure to comply over and
Yeah.
over again. That's what we need. That's why cease and desist is so important. If we
Yes.
had that enforcement language, we wouldn't have that buildup of cases.
Yeah, yeah. But they will no longer hijack the grievance procedure. So many people on social media, they say the CLC thinks they're going to come in and they're going to force management to do just like you said. I'm not worried about management. They're not in the equation. I will meet with them at each step. I'll meet with them, but I'm not worried about them because they don't control my grievance. If I don't like what they're offering, I'm gonna send the motherfucker up. And so, and then we have the ultimate in arbitration. That everybody would love to have arbitration that has to strike and whatnot. We have the process of arbitration for a neutral arbitrator for the most part.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
if there's a way to make that better, I wish we could figure it out, brother. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. But have them here in our cases. But we do have a remedy for that. You're going to activate. They told Barner and Renfro, we're not activating the DRT. They told them that. That's a fact. We didn't do shit about it.
No.
Just let cases pile up. To me, if I say, hey, we're going to activate those backups in accordance with the DRT memo, we're not doing that. We'll see you in national arbitration.
What's it gone from like 9,000 to what, 35,000 now?
35. It was 6,000 when James Henry was over. It's 35,000 now.
That's unbelievable.
And I think, if I'm not wrong, there's 8,000 pending arbitration.
That sounds about right.
There's 35,000 pending B, and there's 8,000 pending arbitration. And so we've got a level of incompetence like I've never seen before. And it has forced podcasts. It has forced a slate to run against it. You got another person running as president. It's forced these things because of the level of incompetence. And the good thing about it is that with James Henry, there comes Paul Boulanger, the director of education, which we desperately need. If there's one thing that we need more than anything else, to me, it's a director of education, somebody who controls education, somebody who disseminates, trains, educates, designs training. You're going to be the busiest man at the NELC.
No,
So,
again, Corey, you told me the most hated man. Make it up, man. Make your mind up. I love it.
well, busiest means the most hated too, but he couldn't have picked anybody better, Paul, because
I appreciate that, man. I
we've
appreciate it,
been
brother.
everywhere with you. I see your passion in everything that you do. Your knowledge is second to none. Advocate, you've done that. You understand that thoroughly. And to me, if you're an advocate, you understand that thoroughly. You understand what goes into the case file and the things that you need to educate At the end, that's the reason there was a from A to arbitration. That was the design. From A, informal, to arbitration. What do we need to do to the case file to make that thing when we go to arbitration
Right.
winnable? And so, brother, I could not be more excited. I love education. I love it.
Yeah.
There's nothing I would rather do than educate my people. And
Well, I
so,
tell everybody, Corey, and I'll say it again on 8 arbitration, that, my daughter just got her doctorate in education. So this is really special to me.
yes,
I never thought that I'd be able to lord something over on her, but it's going to be fun.
good for you.
Yeah.
But every other week, we're going to look at the Lions Den. We're going to, about every other Wednesday, right?
Yeah, I have a guest in mind for next Wednesday. I haven't asked her yet, so we'll
Okay.
see if Pam Donato's up for it.
Throw her under the bus real quick.
Why not, brother?
Uh, and that's going to be education, 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 like you said, guests and things, which I can't wait for that. I'm still going to be doing from 8 arbitration on Sundays. You're going to start doing that, get you in a hold of those names for dogs of war. And, if you're going to do a lot more, then we'll promote it again and get you some more names on there. You're talking about doing several different things with
Oh,
teams,
sure.
sending
I
them
would love
in.
to train people in every
Yeah,
fire that's there. We got to put out, brother. I love the
yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, how we're going to reach the workroom floor. A lot of people are asking about that. We've talked about that because that to me is the most critical. You and I, like I said, when we go places, you always hear people come up and say, "Hey, the only education I've ever got is from 8 arbitration," and it's great and sad because that should not be the case. Our union should do better, and they're going to once the
We will.
CLC takes over.
We will do better. Yeah.
We will remedy that. And so I'll have you back on. We'll come back on and we'll talk again about progress and updates and stuff like that. And then look forward to the Lions Den. You taking that
Yeah,
over.
absolutely,
I'm
brother.
glad
Thank
you
you for all the
volunteered.
kind words, man. I love being here
Hey,
with you.
hey, I'm glad you volunteered to do that.
Yeah. I'm glad I got volunteered as well.
You're like,
I
when I
love you,
asked if
brother.
you, what's funny is I asked if you do it. He's like, I ain't doing that shit. You call me back like 30 minutes later. It's like James Henry told me I'm taking over the Lions.
Yeah, I said you some bitch.
I'm like, what happened? Thought you wasn't going to do it.
No, I'm really excited about it now.
I
I am.
love that.
Corey, I was excited about it in the first place, but it's a little nervous. I mean,
Yeah.
you are a
Yeah.
large figure,
Yeah. Well,
large shoes to step into, brother.
no, I ain't got nothing to do with that, man. That's all you, brother. But I can't wait for it. Hey, Paul, I love you, man. And I've had a blast. I've already known you, but just getting to know you even better, going around, traveling, talking to people, you see the passion that they have, this movement that we talk about. You see it yourself when we go places, people talking about getting involved again. There's people stepping up to be stewards that have never done it. People talking about, hey, my union hall's packed now on union meets because of this movement. And so, dude, you're going to have a huge part of that. And so
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Corey, I got to tell you, I've got a bunch of Facebook friends that that have friended me or I've friended because they're CLC followers. And I reached out to a lot of them, a couple a day if I can. And I can't believe how excited they are. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
People are telling me, thank God, this is changing
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. There's hope again. It's actual hope again. And that's fantastic because I love my people. I love going to see them and I love seeing the smiles, the hope, and, it's coming.
It is coming. Put your
Well,
seatbelt on, girls.
hey, it's full throttle, baby.
Here we go.
But all right, baby. Paul, thank you, my man. I appreciate you coming on and talking to the people,
All
man.
right. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, Paul. We'll see you, buddy.
Bye.